Hi, my name's Callum Dicks and you're joining me today on one of my most favourite venues in the world, the River Wye at Hereford. Now, as you probably can see, the river's extremely low, very clear, not much depth to it at all. But I'm going to take you through a few methods today that will hopefully get you the most out of a really tricky conditions such as this. It's really important when you come to the River Wye and venues very similar to this that you have the right setup. Today my peg's a beach style peg, so it's important that you get yourself out into the water a little bit. It gives you a better angle when you're running your float through, when you're trying to get the fish up over the snags. It's really important that you just give yourself the best opportunity of getting every fish out. One of the most important bits of equipment for doing this is the Maver S4 platform. First of all, it's really sturdy, really strong, so you can put big heavy seat boxes on top of it and feel really firm. It also folds up, so today hasn't been the shortest to walk, so you can fold it up with the legs inside, straight on top of your platform, and away you go. It's no burden if you have a long walk to some big pegs. Second of all, I've got my side tray with an awning on, which is really important because once you're out into the water, you don't want to be going in and out all the time to cover stuff up. If it starts to rain or it's really hot, I can cover all my bait up and keep it nice and dry. Today I'm using maggots. Worst thing in the world is if it starts to rain, all your maggots start crawling out. I've got a little arm coming off of my side tray, which just allows me to put my landing net on. This is also really important. You don't want your landing net dropping over the side of your side tray, landing in the water and flowing away. Just keeps everything nicely to hand. I've got another little side tray on the right hand side, which I keep all my hook lengths on, all my spare bits and bobs, spare feeders, spare hooks. But also one of the great bit of kit I'm using today is a Maver signature telescopic feeder arm. Now, the terrain of this bank won't allow me to stick a bank stick straight into the ground. This feeder arm will actually slot straight onto your seat box leg. You can have it at any angle, so if you want your rod close to the water for bream fishing on not such a fast flowing river, you can do. Today the water's flowing quite strong. I want my rod up in the air so I can get the maximum amount of water, line out of the water as possible. I can adjust the angle and I can adjust the length. All round my setup, everything's to hand, it's nice and comfortable, which is really mega important on difficult banks when you're out in the water. Got another real decent fish on now. I think it's a big chub. The conditions really are playing into our hands. It's overcast, it's warm. Lots of bait, and there you go. I think that might actually be a barbel, that. Small barbel. Yeah, I think it is small barbel. There you go. Clear rivers. You can see the fish while you're playing them. Such exciting fishing. Every single time the float goes under, you just don't know what it's going to be next. Difficult to get the fish out because of the snags. Really, I've got to give them some welly. This is what I find so exciting about the River Wye. Every fish you hook, you don't know what it's going to be. 1 minute chub, 1 minute barbel, dace, roach, perch, everything. I can't stress the importance of feeding lots of bait. Really get the fish competing in your peg. Strong gear, the right rods, the right line, lots of bait. You can catch fish like this. Take your time, no need to rush these fish. So exciting in this clear water. You can see every movement of the fish. Every time it kicks off, you can see it. You think it's ready for the net. So powerful, these fish. They've been bred in these fast flowing rivers. So strong, pure lean muscle that you think they're ready for the net and then they're gone again. There we go. So much more exciting in this clear water. You can see every little movement. Trying to bring the fish upstream because downstream we've got a lot of weed. Take your time, nice and patient. Try and bring him upstream and on down onto your landing net. And there we go, another Wye barbel. Oh, you can see why they fight so hard. Massive, great big tails, really lean fish. That makes it even more exciting. When I arrived here this morning and I picked my peg, it really screamed to me that it was going to be a float fishing river. It's really low and clear, loose feeding, lots of bait, with not so much shot down the line, catching fish at all levels really did seem good to me. And at the beginning of the day it was really good. I've caught some dace, I've caught some decent chub, an odd barbel. But as the day went on, the more and more bait I fed, the fish got bigger and bigger, which led me onto the feeder. But at the start of the day we really did have a good start. I just want to talk you through the way I set my waggler up. It's very, very similar to the way I do it on a commercial with just a few changes. To start off with, a 30cm hook length, 0.15 fluorocarbon to a size 16 hook. Perfect for 3 to 4 to 5 maggots. Then, a very important part of the setup is a swivel. When you're winding maggots back through the water, maybe 30 metres, the last thing you want is your hook bait spinning up and having to change hook length all the time. Just a very small swivel in the setup will take all that spinning away. Underneath the float we've got 6 number 8 shot, all just strung out shirt button style. It's only probably 3.5, 4 foot deep today, so we don't want it all bunched up, we just want it all strung out to allow me to catch fish at any level. Above that it's very similar to how I would on a commercial. We've got 3 gripper stops, a little snap link and a gripper stop above the snap link with a Maver UFO insert waggler on. Now that's a very, very simple setup, but a very effective. The main line itself is 0.16 Jurassic. This allows me to put an 0.14, 0.15 hook length on if I do start hooking some bigger fish. The rod itself, a 13-foot reactor light, heavy. I've picked this rod because I know there was a good chance of catching some big fish. 13 foot in length allows me to pick the line up off the water when striking. Just an all-round nice rod. If I want to fish at 7, 8, 10 foot deep, I can do with 13 foot. The reel, a 3000 Enigma, perfect for this style of fishing, perfect weighted, perfect size, holds plenty of line. 0.16, 0.18 main lines, no problem whatsoever. All round, a nice balanced, nice effective setup, which will allow me to catch masses of fish on rivers like this. When I started my day here on the River Wye, With it being so low and clear, it really did scream to me as a float fishing river. But we've started feeding the maggots, feeding aggressively, and we immediately started hooking some real big fish, some barbel, some big chub, which straight away is very difficult to get out when you're fishing with waggler tactics, with waggler lines, waggler hooks. It's obviously a lot more condensed. As soon as I started hooking these big fish, the feeder screamed out to me. The river's coming up slightly, it's starting to colour up, which again screams to me about big fish. And we've started introducing the feeder into the swim. We've had a real great run. Within the first probably 15 chucks, we've hooked 7 or 8 decent barbel, and it really is a really lovely method to fish when there's big fish in your peg. You can sit, you can put your rod down, you can be nice and patient, you can feed all the time if you want to, you can fish big hooks, you can fish thick lines. I mean, today I'm fishing 0.20 hook length to a size 10 specimen hook, 10 pound main line. It really is a great method, and it's a sort of method where you're going to hook and land a massive percentage of your fish. It's really important to get your rod in the correct position when you're fishing fast flowing rivers like we are today. I'm using the signature telescopic feeder arm. I just put it straight onto my seat box leg. I can angle it up so I can have my feeder rod really high. I can get most of my line out of the water. I mean, today it's only 4 foot deep, so there's not a lot of line going into the water. Position it all right, use the right rod, and it really makes life simple. The bites we've been getting have really been aggressive. Pull the rod right over, so there's no need to be striking all the time at little twitches. It's not right. Really be patient, get the setup correct, the feed in right, and you're in for a great day. Well guys, we've made the change from the float over to the feeder. It was it was almost getting a little bit ridiculous. We were hooking great big fish and the kit wasn't quite up to it with the float. You need real big heavy main lines and big hooks. So we swapped over to the feeder to see if I can get any bites, and first chuck we're into one. And it feels like a real decent fish. Not really been able to get any line on it whatsoever. It's just taking me upstream. Unbelievable how they fight. It is absolutely ridiculous. You can see the fish there. Oh, what an amazing river. And there we have it, first chuck on the feeder, the biggest one of the day. It's got to be touching 8 or 9 pound. What an amazing fish and an amazing river. I'm going to slip this one in the net and see if we can get an even bigger one. Have some of that, sir. There you go. Another smashing barbel. A little bit smaller this one. Another one virtually on the drop. Amazing days fishing. An amazing river. Right, we've just slipped another cracking barbel into the keep net. Whilst the feeder's out of the water, I'm going to run you through the setup that I use. First of all, the very bottom, we've got a size 10 specimen hook. The last thing you want to be doing is hooking these fish and having the worry of your hook bending out. I know 100% with these hooks, every fish I hook's not going to bend it out. They're super strong. The hook length itself is 0.22 fluorocarbon, Now, I think this is very, very important fluorocarbon in rivers like this. The last thing you want is your hook bait coming up off the bottom and floating about. You want everything stuck pinned to the bottom as best as possible. The length of it, 3.5 foot, 4.5 foot, is nice length. I judge it on how quick the river is, on how long of a hook length I use. In general, the faster the river, the longer the hook length. So today it's quite quick, but it's not really ripping through. So 3.5 foot to 4 foot is perfect. The feeder itself is 30 grams in weight. It's, like I said, there's not masses of flow today, so we can get away with a 30 gram feeder. What I try and do is use a feeder weighted so it's just holding. You don't want a feeder that's too heavy, or you don't want a feeder that's too light that's going to bounce along the bottom and find yourself a snag. The way I set it up is ultra simple. A little snap link so I can change the feeder if I need to. If the flow gets up, I need a bigger feeder. Running down to 3 gripper stops. The beauty of this is that I can change the length of my hook length just by moving the gripper stops. I don't actually have to tie up another hook length. If I want a longer hook length, move the gripper stops up and you've got a longer hook length. Just makes life really simple. Above the snap link, I've got another gripper stop, probably 6 to 8 inches away. That just gives the feeder a little bit of movement, but when you're actually filling the feeder up itself, you don't have to worry about the feeder sliding up and hitting the top ring of your eye and maybe snapping your quiver tip. The main line itself has to be a touch stronger than your hook length, just in case you do snag up. I've gone for 10 pound Jurassic, ultra strong, ultra durable, really important, big fish, big rivers. Now, the most important part of the setup for me is to have the right rod and reel. I've picked the Maver Extreme long cast and diamond rod. Now this is perfect for this type of fishing. There's plenty of backbone. It's designed for casting long distances, but obviously today we're not casting long distances, but the backbone that's built into the rod for casting long distances is perfect also for fishing for big fish on fast flowing rivers. 13 foot in length, so you can put the rod up at a bit of an angle and get a lot of the line out of the water. The reel, 4000 Enigma, big spool, can hold a lot of thick line, so it's really powerful but also lightweight, so it doesn't unbalance the rod. All round, a really simple, strong setup. I can't stress the point enough about having strong gear for these big fish. They do fight extremely hard, so if you get your setup nice and strong, you're fishing the right way, you should have a plenty of enough day to catch plenty of big fish. There you go, guys. We've made a few little changes. We've upped the bait a little bit, gone slightly further over into the peg, into slightly deeper water, and straight away we've hooked some real decent chub. Had a fantastic day. Hopefully there's a few more waiting for me. Probably the most important thing for me when attacking rivers like the River Wye today is feeding your peg correctly. First of all, I've been feeding via catapult. I've been feeding big pouchfuls of casters and maggots all day to create a big area in my swim for the fish to mingle about. Then what I'm doing with the feeder is creating a little hot spot for the fish to come in and to nick a fish out of the area. So first of all, what I'm doing with my feeder is first of all putting maybe 3/4 of the feeder full of casters. Then to obviously stop the casters coming out during the cast is plugging it with a really smelly, stodgy ground bait. Now what's going to happen to that, once it hits the bottom, the smell from the ground bait and the casters are going to come out, and the flow is going to take this bait just down onto my hook bait. Hopefully that is just enough bait to attract one fish to nick a bite whilst they're mingling about over the big area of feed that I'm putting in with my catapult. The hook bait itself is a big hook bait with 10 maggots, so it's a big visible bait for the fish to come in, pick up and to hook. Hopefully with this method, creating a big area and a little hot spot, you can get into a real good rhythm and catch loads of fish. The last thing you want to be doing when you're fishing a feeder on the River Wye, when you're fishing for big fish like barbel, is clipping up. They take a lot of line when you first hook them, so you don't want to be restricting yourself on how much line you can give them. So it's very difficult to be accurate though when you don't clip up. So the thing I've done today, I've got a tree hanging just over into the water. I've picked one branch off of that tree to just give me a distance marker and something to aim at. This way, through the day, more and more casting, the more and more accurate you'll get. I'm feeding a big area with maggots and casters with my catapult, so being pinpoint accurate is not always necessary. So what I'm doing, I can't have too long of a drop between the top of my rod and the feeder because I've got a long hook length. So just a nice short drop, swing it out, nice steady return behind your head and flick it out. Aiming at that branch all the time. I've got a distance and I've got my aiming marker, and you'll be amazed by the end of the day, a lot of casting, just how accurate you can get it. It really is amazing. Everybody thinks that barbel and big chub are really fish that you can only catch on a feeder. We had a little quiet spell on that feeder. I've picked the waggler up and literally second run through, I've hooked another barbel. It's amazing how these fish, I just tend to get an impression most of the time that they want static baits that aren't moving. But it's unbelievable. We just run a waggler through at full pace that the flow's going, and we're hooking probably just as many big fish on this as we are on the feeder. Granted, the fish are a lot easier to get out on the feeder because of the gear you use. But some days, when you're only maybe hooking 4 or 5, a waggler might be a better option because you can catch dace, you can catch smaller chub, you can catch everything on it. I am still using sensible gear, 0.15 hook lengths to size 16, a strong size 16 hook. So I do really give myself a great chance of getting them out. It just proves you can't pin yourself down on one method on any river. No matter how well you know it, you can't pin yourself down to it. Today, if I would have just come here with a waggler, I would have caught a decent weight. If I would have just come here with a feeder, I would have caught a decent weight. But put them both together and at different parts of the day, catch on each, you really are in for a good weight. The conditions are really playing into our hands. I think I said earlier we've had some rain the day before and it's slightly coloured the river up a little bit as we were fishing. It's maybe come up 3 to 4 inches whilst we were fishing, which you couldn't ask for better conditions. Oh, these fish are really unbelievably powerful. Just take your time. Try and get them upstream. It's a lot easier to net your fish when you've got them upstream of you because you can bring them closer. This is the point when playing the fish, is not to rush. You've got them away from your snags. Got them away from your snags. It's just a case of tiring them out now and just being nice and sensible with him. Such an enjoyable way of fishing though. What a day's fishing. Take time there. Ooh. All very similar size today, between 4 and 8 pound. But there's plenty of them here in this peg today. Ooh. You can see every movement in this clarity of water. There we go. Another big one on the waggler. We have had a brilliant day's fishing here today on the Wye. It's opened my eyes of just how many fish are in this place. It's opened my eyes the methods that we've caught on and which has been best. We've caught some big chub, we've caught some big barbel, some dace, and I reckon we're getting on for 110, 120 pound of fish today. It really is worth a go. It's probably the most exciting fishing you could ever do. I just want to show you a few of them. Look at these, massive barbel, big chub, really a red letter day today here on the River Wye at Hereford. Get yourself out and have a go for yourself.